I think this video is going to be more for the DIYers, but I figure I'd help some people out, maybe doing on this on their own. This needs a starter. There's no way to really test the starter while it is in the vehicle, other than doing stuff at the relay, which only tells you so much. The symptom of this was one click of the solenoid and then nothing would happen. She had an issue where she was jump starting it to start it a few days in a row, and then all of a sudden it quit. Go over here. This is where the starter lives on these Jeep Cherokees. This is a 2.4 multi-air, so any car that has a 2.4 multi-air with all-wheel drive will be this way. Okay, if you do not have all-wheel drive and this big ass transfer case is not right here, you can just remove this from the bottom. That's what all the service info is telling me. The problem with this one, I'll show you. Get up close here. What happened to this starter is you can see that little puck kind of gold bit there. That's from it welding the arcing and pretty much trying to weld the nut to it. It took some metal off. You can see I had to break the nut off because the nut was welded to the stud. This is not from me doing this. This is from before. I actually have a video I might post in the middle here showing when I finally got this intake off, that this was like this. The only thing I could really do other than checking everything at the fuse box for the starter was put an inspection camera in here, and I could see that and some of this, and I could see that it was original, and we really needed to get to it. And then obviously once I got to it, I realized the issue with the stud. Let's see, this one has a little bit of movement, so I guess a little bit of movement is normal, but at this point, especially with the, I don't know if I have the stud anywhere, don't remember what happened to it, but that stud was not going to be tightened because of how it was welded to that copper stud anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether it was loose or not. So if you're doing this on your own, to remove the intake on the all-wheel drives, and like I said, only on all-wheel drives does this matter. If you do not have an all-wheel drive, you can just take it out the bottom, nice and easy, and you can probably test it too. I couldn't get it to test anything, so that's fun. Telling the customer, hey, we think it's your starter, but we don't know for sure because we can't touch it. That's always great. But if you're doing this to remove the intake, you obviously have to take, there's a bunch of there's a bunch of intake piping here with the, there's the intake, airbox, other stuff. I had to remove the cowl extension here to get room. I took the throttle body off of the intake. You probably don't need to, I just did it for extra room. Obviously you've got to disconnect all of these plugs. These are all injector plugs, and these ones are for the solenoids, which are right here. You don't have to remove them, but I like to unplug them for a multitude of reasons. One of the most important being so I don't accidentally break it when I'm coming out, because that would suck. Then you have to unbolt the 3 engine bolts, mount bolts, one right here coming in this way. There's obviously one right there which goes into this hole, and then this one here which you can't see the hole. And then in service info they say you need to move a minimum of 3 inches out. I just keep going till it comes out. Start where I think it comes out, and then if it doesn't, I move it more. You don't need to position anything on the bottom to support the engine because it's sitting on the unibody kind of frame rail here. You just need to slide it over, and then you'll have access to pull that out. You also have a lot more access to take things like this cover off, which is on the back of the intake. so you can get to stuff. You do need to get to the bottom and take this one bolt out. So you'll need a long extension, and I'm kind of doubting my ability to put it back because there's no way to get your hands up in there other than the super long extension. They want you to take off all the undercovers. They also want you to take off the exhaust. You don't need to do that. That's ridiculous. There's no reason to take that off at all. I mean, I don't know if they want you to do it so you don't damage like the flex or something, but taking that bottom pipe off is near impossible. I've changed them on these all-wheel drives before, and to get them to go into their hole, I have to cut them in half and then re-weld them in place, because the other way is to lower the subframe, and why the hell would you want to go through all the lowering the subframe just to take that pipe off to do a starter when you really don't even need to take the exhaust pipe off? I don't want this to turn into a rant on why Chrysler products and Fiat products are stupid, and you might be wondering why I'm saying Fiat products. The 2.4 multi-air is a Fiat motor. Whether you like to believe it or not, it comes in the Fiat 500L. If someone says in the comments that it's made by Chrysler, it's no big difference to me. I hate both of them equally. I am not discriminating here because I hate them all both equally. They're both stupid. These are throwaway cars with throwaway motors, and the people that drive them don't service them, so they tend to go bad a lot sooner. And yeah, that's my feelings on that. They also have stupid designs like putting the starter somewhere where you can't get to it. I believe when I looked at it the first time, there's quite a few places we could have put them down here. You could have put it on this side of the transmission. You could even have fit it there if there wasn't this big knob of aluminum in the way. There's a lot of things you could have done. But I digress on that stuff. So if you're a DIYer doing a starter on a Jeep Cherokee or any of the other Jeep products with a 2.2 multi-air, let's see, a 2.4 liter multi-air, this is what you got to do to replace it. So, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Alright, just an update on the starter, the Fiat starter. I found the nut that broke off. Well, I had to break it off. It was down the engine. I found it when I was looking for one of the intake bolts. You can see here where it has been arcing and melted the nut, and I assume the threads inside, since they're copper, also have ceased to exist, so at this point you wouldn't be able to tighten it. Maybe if this was in a better location, which I'll explain in a second, I could have just tightened this up and it would have fixed it, and obviously before it got to the point where it melted the threads. She came to us earlier, but honestly we would have probably replaced the starter anyways, just because we would have had to get to it to test it and to see that this was an issue with this being loose, because I thought the wiggling was a problem inside the solenoid, which obviously I was wrong, because in earlier in this video you'll see that the new one wiggles too when it's loose, and it goes away when I tighten the nut. But obviously I couldn't tighten this one because the threads are just welded to this nut now, and it's never coming off. But with its shitty location, which I'll show you the bottom since I have it up, you can see, you cannot see the starter anywhere. It's up there. Up there you can kind of see it right there, with this big center diff / transfer case in the way. It's definitely impossible to get on the nut and test it, which is actually on the top of the starter, even less likely to get to the signal wire. Yeah, so that's that. Don't buy a Jeep. That's my word to the wise to anybody. You want silly stuff like this is a Mopar, so this loosened up from the factory. I guess this flange wasn't enough. The new starter comes with a lock washer. Time will tell if that is the end of that, and if it doesn't ever loosen up again. I don't think it will, but that's that. So have a great day.